Hello, football fans. Welcome back to the one, the only Herd of the Line. I'm your co-host this evening, Chapman. Yes, the token American here. And with me, as always, is my other co-host, Tom. Tom, how are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks.
Good, good. And of course, the one, the only, the hardest working man in the podcast business, super producer, Fletch. Fletch, how are you this week, buddy?
Do you want to speak to the hardest guy first, hardest working guy first, or do you want to speak to me first? I'm confused where you were going with that.
Just take the compliment and run with it. A
Right,
true
okay.
northerner he is.
Um, I'm very, very good, thank you. Very, very good. Very, very excited for what's to come this week. Um, Itchy feet, ready to get on an aeroplane.
Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Going over the depth. We should let's talk about that at the end of the pod. I want to hear about the story. I'm excited about your adventures. But before we get into this, we must mention that we are officially sponsored by Fantasy Game Day Daily. The first and only NFL Daily Fantasy app exclusive for UK fans, created by UK fans. Fantasy Game Day app has a promotion, and if you put in our code HRLDE, hurdle
D
without the U. Oh, I get it wrong. It's the four
DLE,
letter. See, I've already missed
H U R H H R D L E
HRDLE.
H R
DLE.
D L E.
Yeah.
There we go. HRDLE.
HRDLE. SMRT I am. Anyway, if you put it in, which you can find all that information if you scroll down below, please do that. You get yourself a little promotion. You help us out, and you can tell them that we've been here. Again, Fantasy Game Day app. We are grateful to them. Moving right along, as always, right at the top of the show, we do our news. We used to call it Breaking the Huddle, but I don't know, we just did away with it. There's a couple of tidbits this week. First, obviously, is Trey Hendrickson's now on the trading block, apparently, for the Bengals, because they've been unable to get a long term deal that satisfies him. He's been holding in, I believe, at camp. Our insider, Tom, said, what was the offer that what are they asking for?
Yeah, they're looking for a defensive player, a young defensive player, and a first round pick, which I think is pretty, high price. Even though Trey Hendrickson has had two incredible back-to-back seasons, he's still on the plus side of 30, and to trying to ask for that sort of return, I don't know if they're going to get that. But I know the teams that are interested are like the Colts, the Browns. There was another team I can't remember, but those were two of the teams that were trading or putting offers out.
He's a great player, but that's the problem. It's the other side of 30, and it's another 30, close to $30 million contract he's
Mm.
probably looking for. So, yeah, trading a first round pick, a young player, and having to sign that massive contract, I just don't think that's happening. My guess is he ends up playing this year, and then they go their separate ways, and they will have to probably get a comp pick or something out of it. But I don't know. I could be wrong.
I think that
Maybe
happened
there's.
when he was in when he was at the Saints as well, right? Didn't he leave in free agency?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, we'll be judging that. I mean, I wish the Falcons were in a position to get him, but I would not want them paying that price or even close to it. So, um, so we have a starting quarterback for another an AFC North team, which is the Browns have named Joe Flacco as their Week 1 starting quarterback. Is this a surprise to anyone?
No, I
No.
think they're going with the veteran guy. They know who knows how to perform week in, week out in the NFL, start him off and then see where they bring Shador Sanders in later down, when he's had some time to see how the offense runs and, is more comfortable being able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
I mean, I watched some of the Browns this weekend, and when Shador was out there, I was watching. You watch some of the clips of Joe Flacco watching Shador do it. The guy looks so proud every time a completed pass was made. Joe Flacco was seems to be absolutely loving it,
Mhm.
and it makes sense. Joe Flacco knows the Browns. He knows Kevin Stefanski. He knows the system they want to run. It makes the most sense going into the season. But clearly, there's something there with. I mean, Shador's looked fantastic in preseason. I will say, I've got to say, he's looked very, very good. Um, and the clearly Joe Flacco has felt some way about Shador. I'm guessing that relationship's the one that's flourishing, and it would seem that Shador would be second in command, depending on, as Tom said, depending on what happens throughout the season. Watch Joe Flacco come in and ball out, but
I mean, the last time he played for the Browns, he literally led them to the playoffs,
yeah,
despite, they
Mhm.
became one of the first teams to start four different starting quarterbacks and still make the playoffs. So
yeah,
he's done it before, and let's see if he can do it again.
yeah.
I was just reading this. So Joe Flacco's contract is a base salary of 4 million, but could increase to 13 million. If he is active for every game this season, it's basically a million. It's an extra million. So go be a cheerleader and get paid. Anywhere between probably $5 to $10 million. That sounds great to me.
Not a bad
Yeah.
way of making a living.
No, it is
No,
not.
it is not.
Do we have any other little? I mean, there's a few little other tidbits around here.
Yeah,
What
I
is
had
the?
one from
Oh, great.
the Chiefs side.
Yep.
It was reported from Adam Schefter that Rasheed Rice and the looming court case is due to take place on the 27th of September to determine the amount of suspension that he's going to have. Obviously, I saw that the NFL were pushing for it to be 10 games, which I think is
Yeah, I saw
probably
that.
a little bit steep in terms of when there's other people, namely Justin Tucker, who's also been given a 10-game suspension, and stuff that he's been accused of is kind of pretty insane. But yeah, that's going to happen on 27th of September. So it does mean that Rashee Rice is going to be available for the first 4 weeks of the season. It's a really tough first 4 or 5 weeks for the Chiefs. So definitely a guy that they would have wanted. And now they know that they'll most likely have him for the start of the season at least.
The other news is too that, and as somebody who did draft Ray Rice at a very good price, thanks. I think I texted you, Tom. I was like, "This is just too low not to take." I'm excited. Hopefully, he gets to play the majority of the season. Also, another just a little thing is that Matthew Stafford's back in practice today when everybody was writing his obituary for, I believe, this season already. So it'll be interesting to see if he is going to go week one.
Um,
Which amateur?
yeah. There's one other piece, and it's not NFL news, but I watched an episode of a podcast the other day that just so happened to smash a crap ton of records. The New Heights episode featuring
Mm.
Taylor Swift. Yes, will become that podcast. You can't even escape it here now. You can't escape hearing the name here. Um, had I actually watched it as it was being premiered. It had up to 13 million. No, sorry, not 13 million, 1.3 million at any given point during the live stream. It racked up 15 million viewers on YouTube, 34 and a half on TikTok, 61.6 on Twitter, and 379 million on Instagram. The Kelsey brothers have just added 400,000 new subscribers to the YouTube channel. Um, all while she turned around and said that she thought Jared Goff and Josh Allen played on the field at the same time. Um, I've never made any qualms about it. I think she's fantastic. I don't even care. I also have an 8-year-old daughter who has shown interest in the NFL since Taylor Swift became part of it. So very much grateful for that. But it was a great little episode to be fair, and one that that's two NFL legends who've had a massive boost this week via their podcast.
Yeah,
So
100%. Yeah, as you said, breaking that mold, literally
yeah,
her being on a podcast just makes it that much bigger. So fair play to her and actually learning how the game works and stuff, because before she didn't even know what first down was. So
and
all the better for having another NFL fan.
I'm just disappointed that Shag Marry Kill last week was so close to that record now as well. And it's
We love it.
and we're so close every week to that record, but alas, Taylor Swift just had to go and beat us out on it. Um, so yeah,
Well, we're happy to take second place, so you should keep
yeah.
listening and please tell your friends, and then tell your parents, tell your siblings, whatever, your
I mean,
dog. Put it on your. throw us on for when you go out and like soothe the dog. My
Exactly.
Fletch's voice, I'm sure, just makes
He's
the dog
so
chill and
riled
calm.
up.
I'll just get a
And
boombox like in the 80s and just walk around with it. That's what I do.
It is very cool.
yeah.
It was a cool look. Well, why are we here today? We're here today because we're doing the second part of our two-part division series. Last week we did the AFC, which was a fantastic time. This week we'll do, of course, the NFC. Now, if you didn't listen to last week's episode, we aren't just going through each division and telling who we like and which we're going to finish one for. So yes, we will have some of that conversation, but we are playing a little game, and it's called Marry, Shag, Kill. And each of us has been assigned a division, though because unfortunately our co-host Tom couldn't make it tonight. We're going to be ad hocing the NFC East, but we'll go through each division, and one of us will marry, shag, or kill a team. And yes, and you're saying to yourself, there's 4 teams in every division. That's only 3 options. That's right. One team will just get completely forgotten or ignored or hated on even more because they weren't even killed or shagged or married, because that's the dealer's choice. Why does that make sense? I don't know, but it's just fun to me. But we will make sure to talk about every team because we are an NFL podcast, so we won't forget anyone. Now, to start this off, NFC North. That is the home of our esteemed producers team, the Lions. So we're going to let Fletch start us off here with the NFC North.
Esteemed. That is a nice word, and I'm definitely gonna take that word for another podcast, maybe at some point. I think very much similar to the way the podcast started last week for the AFC. Kel Surprise. I'm gonna choose my own team to marry. At the end of the day, I think we got together when we were both down in the dirt. We were both in not the greatest places, but look what we've both grown and blossomed into. The Detroit Lions were in the NFC Championship 2 years ago, and I'm here talking to you guys on the internet. We've both come so far. Obviously, at the end of the day, this is the team I love. These are the players that I love, and no matter how bad or how good it gets, those are the people that's what our marriage is. And I'm sure Mrs. Fletch would absolutely agree that the marriage is riding through those rough and lows and who you do that with. As far as shagging goes, um, I've struggled to come up with the appropriate one, but I reckon it would have to be right now the Minnesota Vikings, purely because they are they're an exciting football team. We've got just any team that has Justin Jefferson is worthy of a shag, in my opinion, and I don't mean that particularly in the literal sense. But as far as the football sense go, it's always going to be fun. It's exciting. You're going to get some. You might get some with the defense the way it's set up. It might be a bit rough, but we'll deal with it. We'll absolutely enjoy it the whole way through. With the way the offense is set up, there's going to be some flair. There's going to be some pizzazz. There's going to be a bit of a show put on. And again, we're going to enjoy it no matter what we go through. As far as killing goes, just the Bears. Goodbye, Bears. Done with the Bears. See you later, Bears. Not been good since, well, I say they've not been good since the 80s. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl in the 80s, but what have they really done since? Perennial preseason champions. I can't stand. I just yeah. I want to start getting into almost emotional type speak here. Yeah, we're gonna kill the Bears. We're gonna kill the Bears because they're just, as much as I would love to kill the Packers, they're the team I despise the most. The history that they've got in that franchise. And they're still a very, very good team. I can't bring it to myself to kill them off. And to be fair, just as a last little added extra on why the Packers are just there and being forgotten about, I kind of want that bit of hate I want that bit of additional hate every year. The Bears are just frustrating. The Bears are just annoying, whereas the Packers at least provide that for you. So to wrap up, I'm marrying the Lions because obviously. I'm shagging the Vikings because whether it's rough, whether it's got flair, it's going to be exciting, it's going to be kinky, it's going to be very, very fun. And I'm killing the Bears because fuck the Bears.
Said like none other. Thank you, Fletch. Let's talk about this division just really quick now. um, you know, some say this is the best division in football. I kind of tend to think your division, AFC West, is, but it's a coin flip. There's three great quarterbacks, two and a half in one division. But yeah, there's three really interesting quarterbacks in this division, and there's some really good teams, and there's some really good coaches. Um, I'm really interested this year to see what the Packers do. I think they're the team and I thought that before a couple of weeks ago when I started listening to all my podcasts and all the national media started in America started pumping these Packers as they do. But I am also really interested to see if O'Connell can make it a third time's a charm with JJ McCarthy because and Fletch, you saw obviously JJ was your quarterback of your championship team, and that does obviously that team is about defense and running the ball, and but JJ McCarthy was a really he did really well, and Harbaugh has great things to say about him, and Harbaugh knows
Yeah.
a lot about QBing. But we again have yet to see it, and he's the first quarterback that's been taken first overall and been hurt and lost the whole season, right? His rookie season to
Yeah.
so anyway, it'll be really interesting. But they have a lot of faith in him. So yeah, I'm not a big believer on the Bears yet, but I'm really interested to see where the Packers fall in this. Tom, you've been nodding your head a lot. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, funny enough, last season, I was high on the Packers as well. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. So that didn't happen. But yeah, I just think they just got so much firepower. And depending on what version of Jordan Love turns up, if it's the one that played and dominated the Cowboys in AT&T Stadium on his first playoff start they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. But then if the one turns up that played against the Eagles last year, you know, they're not going to be that great as well. So they're kind of one of those polarizing teams. I'd probably still pick the Lions to win a division. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, other than that, I think the Vikings are going to be really interesting because, you could argue that where JJ McCarthy is now, that he's one of the best, like, well set up organizations and in
Mm,
everything that they've done this offseason to make it a success for him as more or less his rookie season because he didn't play any of
Yeah.
his actual season. So yeah, they've really set him up to succeed. So interested to see how that goes with the Vikings. And then with the Bears as well, Caleb Williams is, impressed in preseason somewhat. They've got weapons and stuff as well. But it'll be interesting to see how they come on from last year where, down the stretch they were losing quite a lot of games. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to see.
Um, I would say this as well. Like, I know what you're saying about JJ McCarthy, and they've got Aaron Jones with having Aaron Jones at running back. You've already got, and they showed it last season. They've got a good running game to set that up. I saw JJ McCarthy in last year's preseason. He looked great. He looked really good. We didn't know what we were going to get out of the Vikings last year. Then when JJ McCarthy went down, everyone went, right, that's it, blow up the season. Let's go get an early pick next year. Sam Darnold walks in and they go 14-3, very nearly 15-2, nearly win the division, rode the Lions right till the very end. And everyone kind of accepted that maybe JJ McCarthy would be the slightly better quarterback going into that situation. Sam Darnold doesn't set the world alight, but it is, as Tom said, such a great situation to go into. You've got so much talent both on the defensive and offensive side of the ball. I'm not saying just simply any QB can walk in and they'll have a fantastic season, but if you are going to go into any situation as still essentially a rookie, you're going to want to go somewhere that can set you up with a run game the way that the Vikings can with a very good O-line. And then, do you know what? If you're having a crap day or you're under a bit of pressure, I mean, there aren't very many franchises you can be in where you can just say, fuck it, Jefferson's up there somewhere. And you always have that. So I'm really excited to see what the Vikings do. And I hope I genuinely hope that they are as good as they were last year, because at the end of the day, you want to see fun, exciting, and competitive games within your division. And the same with the Packers. I want the Packers to be good because I want them to be fun, exciting, and competitive games. Um, I want us to win all of those games, obviously, but and then yeah, I need to we need to see what the Bears are going to be first. We just
Mm.
need to see we
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
see it on in a real game.
But before we move on, I realize we haven't really talked that much about the Lions, the reigning division
Mm.
division winners. Also, you know, almost made it to the title game again, and it's I think this will be a really interesting year, specifically for Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell has obviously been great at building his staff. He loses both his defensive and offensive coordinators. Even Belichick. I was listening to something about when Belichick lost after those first three Super Bowls. Lost. I can see their faces now. Romeo Crennel and the guy went to coach Notre Dame, forgot his name. But anyway, it was a year or two before he found his Josh McDaniels. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the same for Dan. And I know, Fletch, we talked about this in the past over the summer, and you're quite a believer in how they promoted in house. So, but I think this will be, it'll be a really interesting year to see
Yeah,
him coaching. Also, it'll be interesting to see how this offense now probably has a little bit more on Jared Goff's shoulders that now that Ben Johnson's gone. And I'm actually a really big believer in Jared Goff. I love his story, and I like that he's found this home, and he was one of the things I actually enjoyed on. I did watch some of the quarterback, even though I said I wasn't going to. Anyway, but you know, Tom, do you got any thoughts on the Lions? Are you excited about it? I mean, we're all taking as many of their players in fantasy as we can. I know if
Yeah,
we
yeah,
get them
yeah,
to.
100%. I think the one
Um,
thing about the Lions that worries me slightly is that other teams in the NFC really strengthened this offseason. And even though the Lions were incredible last year, whether they could have strengthened like a little bit more, maybe on the edge, specifically. I mean, I don't know why they still haven't brought back. I mean, me and Fletcher have been banging the drum for it. Um, Bringing back Darius Smith, like why wouldn't
mm,
you do that? So I think there's certain areas that they might struggle with a little bit.
yeah,
With getting pressure outside of Aiden Hutchinson, who's obviously, just a game wrecker in himself. But offensively, they're gonna be a juggernaut, that's for sure. I imagine they're gonna give Jahmyr Gibbs a lot more carries than they did last year. I think it's gonna be, Jahmyr Gibbs time basically with David Montgomery with the goal line touches,
yeah,
because Jahmyr Gibbs, like the explosiveness that he has. And then, we've been tracking towards Jameson Williams having a breakout season as well. He's been playing incredible in camp that I know that Fletcher's been highlighting as well. So
yeah,
be really interested to see what the Lions do this year. But I think, it can't be underestimated losing two coordinators. The last team to lose two coordinators, and then come into the season was the Eagles, and then they had they started 10-1, but then it turned into a disaster. So I don't think that's going to happen with the Lions, but we'll just
yeah.
have to see how it plays out, really.
Yeah, I get it. I really, really do. I'm happy. One of the two hires is the one I was banging the drum for
Mm,
for 2 years. Kelvin Shepherd should be the one to take over the defense once Aaron
mm,
Glenn leaves. We'll see how it goes with the offense. You said about Jahmyr Gibbs. Obviously, I said a couple of weeks ago. Apparently, he's getting more involved in the passing game at the moment. He's taking some reps out in the receiver slots. Um, and I think just as far as kind of some of that talent, Boston, I absolutely agree. Brad Holmes said the other day that they are in daily talks with Zadarius Smith, and I mean, sometimes it's one of them when you've got a guy of his age after the contract, you're hashing out those final details, just how much of it's guaranteed, or just what are the incentives that you have to put it that you are putting in there. Um, and all those kind of things. I would say that it would shock me at this moment in time if he's not suiting up for the Lions in week
mm,
one.
mm,
Um, but obviously we'll just see how that gets done. And I'm excited for the draft picks, man. I'm really excited for the draft picks. The O line is where I think is going to be the most interesting though. We lost Frank Ragnow to retirement. We lost Kevin Ziegler, who was well to free agency. How that old line holds up is going to be the most interesting. And at the end of the day, this whole team is predicated on keeping Jared Goff upright and being able to run the ball. And you can't do either of those things without a quality O line. So if that O line doesn't hold up, we're toast. We're mostly toast once Jared Goff gets under proper pressure. We've seen what he's like, and we know what he's like under that kind of pressure. So we'll see. It should be fun. And I truly think this is a division that could go any one of three ways, and we may not know even two of those teams until week 14, 15.
And it's a wide open NFC, which is what we're going to talk about throughout
Yeah.
this. So, you could see three teams from this division making the playoffs. I mean, I don't think it's out of bounds. All right, let's move on, guys. The next division is mine, NFC South. Um, so last year, Tampa Bay won it for the fourth year, I believe, in a row, which is really weird because there was a time in the NFC South, as it's mentioned, where no team had ever won it twice in a row, which was crazy. But anyway, Tampa Bay rules the roost. The Falcons came in second, followed by the Saints, and then I believe the Panthers. So this year, I will obviously marry the Falcons, but I absolutely will give them divorce papers at the end of the season if they don't live up to their potential, and then all rests on the arm of Michael Penix, and if the defense can be slightly closer to average, where it's been quite mediocre the last 6 years. But the real question will be Michael Penix. We saw him in 3 games last year. He probably should have played at least 5 after it was very clear that Kirk Cousins was injured and something was wrong after just going 6-3 at the beginning of the year. And the team, I think the roster is pretty good. And I think especially on the offensive side, there's a lot there. So I really suspect this team has to have a winning season, first of all, because you haven't had one in 7 years. But really, I feel like it's got to be a playoff team, which means they really need to win the division because I don't see them, winning more than probably 10-ish games with the schedule, but you never know. And to do so, you've got to win the division because I think it's going to be tough to be a wild card team with the division we just spoke about. I'm very bullish, but I'm not going to get overly hopeful because I've done that 3 years in a row and it's crushed me. I'm going to shag now, moving on. I'm going to shag the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, I am. And here's why. I really like their coach. I'm not necessarily a Bryce Young believer, but I'm not also a Bryce Young hater. And I just think they're kind of a lovable, like, loser team. They have a owner who seems like a petulant, really rich billionaire. That's not my favorite thing in the world, but they've kind of put him in a box somewhere and not let him out to throw drinks at the fans. But I'm just interested to see this team, and because this team has just been kind of crappy since Cam Newton left and Ron Rivera rolled over. So I want to see what they can do. And the other two teams I hate so much that I don't really want to shag either of them. So, and then I'm going to kill the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's done. You had your moment with Brady. They're a great roster. Mike Evans going to the Hall of Fame. Chris Godwin, great player. You guys got your ring. Congratulations. But I'm just tired of this team. I just want them gone. But to be fair, they have a really good roster. Baker Mayfield's a lot of fun to watch, and it's cool to have him in the division and 40 touchdowns last year. He's really fun. I'm excited. I'm actually going to the first game at the Benz
Nice.
on that Sunday. So I'm gonna be there. Second year in a row, I've got to go to the first opening game, which is great. And I'm excited to see him. He's a really good team. I really like Mike Evans a lot, to be honest with you. The defense is stout. Todd Bowles is a very, very good defensive coach. Questionable sometimes as a head coach, but he's ruled this division since obviously since what's his name retired. But anyway, I just want to kill the Buccaneers. I want them out of our way. And then lastly,
retired, right?
Bruce Arians. Yes, please. I can't think of names tonight. Anyway, And then finally, there's that other team in the division. They suck. Not worth mentioning. No, I think the Saints are in for a very long year, unfortunately, and I'm not quite sure what that what is going on organizationally. But Kellen Moore, not like a terrible hire, I don't think, right? But he's there, right? He's gonna that yeah, he's
Yes,
there.
yeah, 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 he's there. Yeah.
Yeah. I always get him and what's his name who went to Dallas confused for some reason. But yeah, Kellen Moore obviously won a Super Bowl with the Eagles last year as offensive coordinator. See what he can do. Anyway, what are your thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, I would pick another division one just because of the what they've done the last few seasons. I would pick the Bucks ahead of the Falcons just because, as you noted there, the defense, Bucky Irving, Baker Mayfield, the weapons that they've got. I mean, even Mike Evans said it himself. He said this might be the best receiving core that they've ever had since he's been there.
Mm.
And this is what, year 13 for him. So, having Chris Godwin, Abuka, um, Jalen McMillan, and Mike Evans, that's a decent amount of firepower there. So I'd probably go with the Falcons. No, go with the Bucks. Then I'd go with the Falcons. I'd probably shag the Falcons to be fair, because you never know if it's going to be good or bad, but it's going to be interesting nonetheless. So
Always.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you're always going to have a whale of a time. So yeah, up and down, but yeah, interesting for sure. And then for depth, I would definitely just pick the Saints because they're not going to be good this year. They're going to be picking in the top five next year. So, and I don't know if you've seen any highlights of Tyler Shuff, but
I'm not.
how that guy was picked 104 picks ahead of Shador Sanders, we will never know.
Bit weird. I just want to say this really quick. So the Falcons swept the Bucks last year, and the year before they had the division year. But I'll just say this: Kirk Cousins, and this is the thing. No one's watching the Falcons. I get it, unless if there's like they've got Bijan, right, or Drake London, and I get that. Like you got to win in order to be relevant in the NFL. That's the thing. But the team should have won. They should have won the division last year. Kirk Cousins, like literally cost us a game and against nearly cost us a game against the Raiders. He kills us against the Saints when he's hurt. I mean, just literally the team is like almost there. And then Younghoe Koo, uncharacteristically, also gets hurt and misses key field goals against what was the Saints too. Anyway, those two games we win the division. And it's over. And it's
Mm.
like, and they stuck too close to Michael Penix. So this is not saying these guys are world beaters, but it's like we're not bad. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Is like
I think the game that took you guys away from, as you were saying there, wasn't even a division game. I think it was the one against the Chargers, where it was like 60. It was such a close game, but you
that's
know,
the Young Wei Koo game. That
yeah.
was
Oh,
it. And
was it?
he,
Yeah, the Young Wei Koo game.
yeah,
It was
that's what
also the Kirk Cousins terrible that
we
interception game as well, and he
also
was hurt. So yeah,
Michael Penix's second game in Washington against the Commanders takes them down. We to win the game. Young Wei Koo misses, or that dude who backed up Young Wei Koo misses
yeah.
like a 40-yarder to win the game.
Mm,
And it's like it's like so it's like it just and again you got to win those games in order to be relevant. So all I'm saying is like if we can convert that, that's two wins, that's three wins, and then you're just totally talking about a completely different thing. Anyway, but that's football, and that's also being a Falcons fan. Anyway, but do you have any NFC South love, hate,
Yeah. Um,
indifference?
entirely on the basis of speaking about divorce earlier and divorce papers, I have to go. I will agree with both the shag and the marries, but I can't agree with the kill on the basis of I'll be divorced by the time the podcast ends. So I have to save the Saints. They have to be in that third mystery in the ether spot. And sadly it has to be the Panthers. And
which
if
is
I
what
have to
Chapman
give
picked, to be fair.
somewhat of a reason for it, I'll say they've been to the Super Bowl twice and never won it. Although one of my favorite players of all time, one of the players who made me fall in love with the National Football League when I started watching it, was a Panther, and that was Cam Newton. Um, so I do have somewhat of a love for the Falcon, not the Falcons even. Well, yeah, I do, but the Panthers. Um, but unfortunately, on the basis of the ring that's around my finger, I can't kill the Saints. I'm sorry. As
But
much as I would like to.
blink if you're safe.
She's downstairs. I'm okay for now, but she will listen to this podcast, and then yeah, it won't be pretty. Um, as
Well,
much as I would like to.
we need to give Miss Fletcher props because she is basically the shadow of this podcast that we've never. She's always there. We never see her, but she, Anyway, um, I wish, I do wish her at least two wins this season, just so that it's not completely miserable at home for you.
Yeah.
I don't think we got much more to say. It's this division. I think again last year I called it, and I think I was right. It was way more interesting. It was getting talked down, and it was a fun division at times. Um, we still got to get another quarterback in this division for it to be, and hopefully Michael Penix, you know, plays to his potential, and maybe is a budding. I'm not like not Jaden Daniels, but it's yeah, we could say. Anyway, moving on. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the NFC East. As I mentioned, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go rapid fire, and you're each gonna just do it, and then we're gonna talk about it. Does that sound good? So I'm just
Sounds
gonna
good.
say go, you do it, then you go, you do it, then I'll do it, and then we'll just see where we end up. All right, Tom, will you be first? Do you mind?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay, three, two, one, go, Tom. NFC East.
Okay, I'm gonna kill the Eagles because fuck the Eagles. I'm going to shag the New York Giants because for some reason I'm just obsessed with that D line, to be honest. Big, hulking, big men, and
Whoa.
they're gonna wreak havoc. So yeah. And then Murray, I'm gonna well, who else is in that division? I've forgotten.
Washington, Dallas.
I'm gonna marry the Commanders just because I really believe in what they're doing um, in, in Washington. With Jaden Daniels, especially fixing up that O line, bringing in Jeremy Tunsil. Um, yeah, yeah. Well, Laramie Tunsil even. That's what I meant to say. Hopefully they get the Terry McLaurin thing sorted out because they need that, and they need him to stay a commander. But yeah, that's how I'm going to go. And then the other team just whatever.
Ladies and gentlemen, we didn't do the pre-show meeting that we normally do. So when I told Tom to just go and say it, and then we were going to discuss at the very end, that's why that happened. So don't worry, it was my fault, not Tom's. But three, two, one, go. NFC East.
I'm marrying the Eagles. At the end of the day, history, recent Super Bowl, multiple, um, and there's little to say about that. The Commanders, I'm definitely shagging. Again, it's fun, it's exciting. And I also really, really enjoy what they're doing. And I am killing, and I'm not just killing. It's got to be brutal. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to there's heart going into this and passion going into this killing. Fuck the Cowboys and the Giants. I just don't care about them. Like,
I'm marrying the Commanders. I'm shagging the Giants, and I am killing the Cowboys, same as Fletch, because I am so overhearing about that team for the last 30 years of my life. Oh my goodness. And you know what? Eagles don't need me to say anything about them. They've got a Super Bowl. The people in Philly are fine. So, all right, guys. So, do we see a bounce back here now that we've both killed them and you've forgotten about them, Tom, for the same reason? Do we see a bounce back here for Dak and the Cowboys?
No. To put it mildly, like no, because I mean, unless they get Michael Parsons back in, I mean, I still don't know what's going on with that. Jerry Jones is just playing chicken and trying to get in to sign, and the guy is so good. So they really really need him back because without
Yeah.
him, obviously they got CeeDee Lamb. I'm not convinced with the George Pickens signing personally. I don't think it's going to be the needle mover that they need.
Mm.
And I do like a few of their pieces. I like Rico Dowdle. I like the returner, Cavonte Turpin. But there's only so many, games that those guys are going to help them win. So It's going to be up to Dak Prescott to, stay healthy. And yeah, I just don't really believe in the Cowboys this year, to be honest with you.
No. Um, Absolutely same. Some incredible talent in that building, and it goes to waste every single year. For as long, and I don't care. I know it's one of the most common takes to have, but as long as they have Jerry Jones in that building, as long as Jerry Jones is running that team, I don't think they're gonna see any real success on the field at all for the foreseeable.
Oh, we lost Fletch. Oh, he's back.
So
Right.
I froze, so I was just off and on again.
Cool. The over under for the Giants is 5.5, but
Ooh,
their schedule is absolutely brutal. Like
it is brutal.
it's absolutely brutal. I really want to make a bet on it one way or the other.
I'm
I don't know
tempted to
why.
take the over on that just because even if the quarterback play, and obviously it's the most important position on the field, but the way that this D line, if they can play up to the potential that they have, Dex Lawrence before he got injured last year led the league in sacks, was in, the race for Defensive Player of the Year, like pressures, sacks, all that. And then you add him to Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, and Brian Burns. Like that is lethal. So if they can get home to, the quarterback, they're gonna have a great chance to win more than 5 games.
Um,
Yeah. Mm.
a lot of it though, I think it's going to ride on that first. To be fair, up until it's the first half that's just so brutal in that schedule. You got Washington, then Dallas, both on the road to start your season. I know what we've said about Dallas just then, but those are divisional games. You don't know what's going to come out of those games, and maybe the Cowboys might be slightly better. We just don't know. Um, but the Chiefs, whether on the road or not, that's not a pretty game. The Chargers at home, that's not pretty. Okay, there's a win there in week 5. We won't say against who because she's back in the room. The Eagles, Denver Eagles, that it's rough. And if
Yeah, that is a
you're coming
rough.
out
That's a
that
rough 3 week stretch. The
in week
Eagles, either
8,
way, either side of the Broncos are the best, one of the best defenses in the
I mean,
league.
I want to let's be real. You'd be lucky to come out with that 2-6
Mm,
with a win against the Cowboys and the Saints. You'd be lucky to come out with that 2-6.
yeah, very true.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm interested to see with what defenses do with Jaden Daniels this year too.
Mm.
Obviously, there's always a little bit of an adjustment after a second season for some QBs. I know that didn't happen for yours, um, but um, I think it'll be really interesting to see. And I love watching him play. He's so exciting. I mean, he's so exciting. And I was really happy for that fan base too, because they are old classic. When I was growing up,
Yeah.
they'd won Super Bowls and all sorts of stuff, and having legitimately the worst owner in all of sports
Yep.
in America, at least. It for for all turnaround 1 year. And I've said this before. I root for Dan Quinn. It just ran out, and the Falcons he just had a lot of bad luck, and then everything got stale there. But he's a good dude, and I root for him. So
Yeah.
anyway, I still think it's going to be the Eagles division. I just think that team is just so stacked, and they did it the right way on the line. I mean, that defensive line just goes on for eons. One guy comes out, and another All Pro comes in. It feels like so, and they obviously do well
They've
on the
lost
other
some
line.
pieces though, so we're gonna have to see how. Obviously,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
they're the defending champs, and you got to pick them to repeat and
Yeah,
everything. But
I'm not
there's
picking him to repeat the Super Bowl, but I am.
no. What I mean is to repeat winning a division. And one
Yeah,
thing that's been constant is that I think a team hasn't won a division back to back since, is it
Since
2002, Fletch, or something?
since the Eagles went 4 in a row, 2001, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah,
Since then, no
so
one's won back to
so
back.
that suggests that it's going to be a topsy-turvy division, even if we think the Eagles are going to win it. there's teams that have tried to do that in the past and then haven't done it. So we'll have to wait and see. But and yeah, they've lost some pieces, but they've also gained some pieces, and they're going to be as good as ever. And those rookies aren't rookies anymore. They've got another year in the system. And they're going to be a hell of a team anyway. So
Um, we spoke last year particularly about CJ Stroud's sophomore slump, but one thing I don't think we spoke about until too late in the season was the poor way in which they put talent or continue to put talent around him and protect him. He had some fantastic talent go out on him throughout the season, but that old line just wasn't as good as the year before. What matters is, yeah, part of it is you finally have enough tape on this no longer rookie quarterback that you can start to plan around them. But also, can you continue to put the talent around them and then, see some teams kind of go, okay, we've got the QB now. That we're there. We don't need to do as much because we know what they're capable of. And I think what the Commanders, because they lost a lot of the Commanders also lost a lot of talent just on those 1 year deals that they had people in on. I think they've restocked very, very well and done the right thing by saying, well, no, we still need to continue to protect Jaden Daniels and look after Jaden and put the right talent around him. They say the only scary part of that, funnily enough, is Scary Terry and what goes on with him.
I think they'll get that done, or they'll get something done. But um, yeah, uh, but you also got to know, also, it's Cliff Kingsbury is also going to continue to evolve that offense as well. In another year with him, I'm sure he's going to come up with a lot of fun stuff over the So, you know, it's always a chess game, right? So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see who's got the better moves. And that brings us finally to our last division, the NFC West. Tom, it is your turn to lead us off. Tell us about
yes.
the NFC West.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a really, really interesting division. But to start off, I am going to marry the LA Rams. I love the culture. I love what they stand for. And I mean, how can you not love Sean McVay and his, offensive genius? Plus, just sitting in a wine vineyard that he goes to every weekend and just chilling out and chatting to that guy all season. I could happily do that. But yeah, the Rams, they're feisty. They've obviously got Matthew Stafford back now as well. That D line, young D line, very good. Jared Verse is, come on really, really well. Defensive rookie of the year last year. So I expect them to be very good this year. And obviously with Cooper Cup leaving as well, with Puka Nakua now being that focal point for the Rams, but having a guy like Devontae Adams as your wide receiver too is really, really good for the Rams because I think he's still got a lot of juice left. Even at 32, he's a veteran, one of the best route runners maybe of all time. So yeah, picking and marrying the Rams. I am gonna shag the 49ers because I mean it's oh no, you know what, actually no, I'm gonna shag the Seahawks because I'm interested to know what happens with Sam Darnold this year. I don't know how many games they're gonna win. They could win 5 games or they could win 10 games. So up and down on them as a whole. That running back room I do like quite a lot. I like Zach Charbonnet. Kenneth Walker coming off and he's not injured this time, so he's starting the season healthy for the first time in a while. Um, and I do think that they'll do pretty decent. I'm just gonna kill the Cardinals. As much as I like the Cardinals as a team, I just don't think they're gonna be relevant in this division. I mean, I think Marvin Harris is gonna have a good year, but I think we already know what Kyler Murray is. I mean, I love the guy. I've sung his praises. But he needs to be able to prove it and not have those late season collapses and actually, make it to the playoffs and, have a good performance. So, and then, with the 49ers, I'm just like, they could bounce back. They could kind of middle. I'm still not convinced with, Brock Purdy being a top 15 QB, but, we'll have to wait and see.
Awesome. But what do you think about the NFC West?
Um, I feel like it's gonna sound. I'd shag not the 49ers, I'd shag the Rams. As fantastic as it would be, and as much as like I'd like to maybe to continue on in a long-term friends with benefits kind of situation with it, maybe. Because I would love to be around McVay. I feel like McVay's got that Kama Sutra book. Though it's kind of that offensive genius, he's got the Kama Sutra, he's got all the position, he knows all the different ways in which to have a good time. Hence why we're gonna get because there's only so many. We need to go a few times just because to go through it all. And the 49ers are who I'd marry. Um, so
That's good. I don't know. Okay. I'm gonna marry the Seattle Seahawks. Not because I think they're better, but I lived in LA and I know what LA fans are like. And there are no LA fans and the Ram fans. They're not really. There's like a couple. I have one guy who's like from California. He's a Rams fan, but actually, sorry, he's from St. Louis and lives in California. So, granted, the team was originally there. So, yeah. um, I like Seattle under Pete Carroll, and I just like a lot of their fans. I've never been to Seattle, but I like coffee. So, anyway, it was just an excuse for me not to pick the Rams like everybody else.
is
But
there a
I do like Matthew Stafford, so I will shag the Rams as the consolation prize of them because I love good old Matthew, and I do love me some Sean McVay. That guy is it's like he's always doing a cosplay of John Gruden without the creepy racist weird stuff. Anyway, go look it up, guys. Emails. It's not me. Anyway, last but not least, I would kill the San Francisco 49ers because yes, I still hold a grudge against Kyle Shanahan and always will. And I also just, they're just the king. You know, you they are now the king chokers of the NFL. I really think two Super Bowls against the Chiefs, had it in the third quarter and could not finish. And I think that's just Kyle's MO. So
I feel
and
like you don't need to kill. I want to say if the choke, you don't need to kill the 49ers. They'll choke to death
they'll just kill
themselves.
themselves. Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
so
That's
Yeah,
very fair.
plus what do you call him? Carl Shanahan's aged about 10 years in the last like 2.5 years or something. He looks like he's, done one of those darkness retreats or something. But yeah, he's had the life stripped out of him by that team.
Now, I didn't pick anything for the Arizona Cardinals, not as a diss to them, but just because there was only three categories. So this is one where I'm not intentionally ignoring them. I have a little bit of a feeling they could be a team that does something this year that where none of us are talking about. They could be
yeah,
not saying they're going to the NFC Championship game, but literally no one's paying attention. Like no one's paying attention to the Falcons. Oh, they're at least getting some press because there's fantasy value there. Whereas like there's no one talking about the Cardinals. And from a betting perspective, that gets exciting for me because
What is
everybody's all
there?
over.
What is there over under for the for
I'm
the
gonna say
Cardinals?
it's six. I'm gonna say it's 6.5, but I'm gonna look it up right now for you. You
Hmm.
guys vamp.
I
um,
would, if it's 6.5, I would take the over for that, to be fair.
I've had them. I had them as we were saying a couple of weeks ago. I think they could be a sneaker. Maybe they sneak in
Ooh,
a wild card position.
it's 8.5, guys.
Oh, okay. Maybe
Yeah. So maybe we're not the only ones.
no, maybe not. Yeah, I was gonna say if it's 6.5, I'd take the over, but 8.5, I probably think that's about right. Maybe they could get a couple more wins. Maybe they could be a, fringe wild card team. But it
Mm,
also really depends on, Marvin Harrison Jr. And Trey McBride actually getting in the end zone this year, unlike last year where he only got one touchdown, but that wasn't really his fault. So,
And
and the play of Kyler Murray as well. If he can have like 20 plus touchdowns, and they can have a good start to the season, then who knows?
And we're talking 20
Yeah.
plus touchdowns in real life, not on Madden,
Yeah.
not 20 plus kills on COD. He needs to put the
He
Xbox
also threw
controller
one of the
down.
worst interceptions you'll ever see in the game against the Chiefs. And I mean, yeah, and all the memes came out about the COD that, he would have downloaded that and not been doing his film study, but it was so bad.
Yeah. I I think as I'd probably end up killing the Cardinals just for the sake of, again, like I feel like I need to keep the Seahawks because again, like one of my absolute favorite players is Marshawn Lynch. Both, well, I say as a player and just as one of the funniest human beings to ever grace the planet, and most interesting people. So, there are a lot of players I think in Seahawks history that you just have to keep them for that. I think.
Mm.
And again, like the personal value, I started watching around that time that the Seahawks went to a couple of Super Bowls and Russ was kind of, well, Russ was
Legion
in
of
his
Boom,
prime and yeah, Legion of Boom,
Cam
you know,
Chancellor, and
Mm.
Richard
Rich,
Sherman,
yeah,
Earl
so
Thomas, Brandon Browning. Yeah, they were
that
beasts.
team, that team does hold a very special place in my heart and in my NFL. And same with Cam, like I said, with Cam Newton and the Panthers is just it was at just that perfect time for me to kind of latch onto those and say, okay, this is something that I enjoy because of these people. The same way, obviously,
Mm.
say you get someone who's getting into soccer, football, who watches a Ronaldo or a Messi or a, there's a player that you kind of attach yourself to who you really, really like, and it's obviously well, they're them being the two greatest, but there's a player that you latch yourself onto and just you really enjoy watching. You say, okay, like this is something I enjoy. So yeah, that Seahawks team has to hold a special place for me, and um, so I can't kill him. I just can't do it. And plus, Aiden Derd, got to have that British representation staying in the NFL as well.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Nice. Well, that wraps up the division or the NFC, sorry, the conference. Anything else on the NFC?
I don't think so.
I just
I
think
know.
it's a very very fun conference and. The wild card spots are always you get to a certain point in the year and there are teams in there who you didn't think could be there at the start of the season, and obviously there are teams that aren't there that you thought would be. And but there's always the ones that you do expect and the things that you do expect. So I think with the NFC, there's just a few teams there where we genuinely just haven't got a clue. And that's what makes I think it the most exciting. And I
Mm.
think personally, just going and looking towards the season makes the NFC such an exciting, one of the more exciting ones over the last few years. Is even again some of these divisions, the NFC North, any one of three teams could win it. The NFC South could be won by any one of two teams. The NFC East, just because of history, you can't. Any one of two teams could win that one. It's just there's a lot of exciting things going on
Yeah.
in the whole
And
conference.
it's funny, look, we all acknowledge that the like let's just say arguably the four best quarterbacks are all in football are all in the AFC.
Yeah,
And that makes it but also what people forget about if you take a bigger look back, you still have Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, and Jalen Hurts all winning Super Bowls in this, Chiefs era, if you will, of the NFL. So it's not like it's been totally one sided. And that's how I kind of measure things is like when the two best teams, quote unquote, make it. It's still through the dogfight, though. I know if we probably took the last, let's say, 6 years AFC versus NFC teams, I'm pretty sure it's probably slightly favored towards the AFC. But anyway, we'll see. That wraps up my part. Fletch, do we have a question? Do we have something we're ending the show with?
yeah. I mean, I haven't really properly planned one this week just because there's been so much going on. I know you said, and listen, you know me, I don't really like to talk. I'll kind of chime in as and where needed. I'm not much of a speaker, but I do believe you wanted to ask me about my trip at the weekend, which I'm very, very excited to talk about.
Yes, yes, that's right.
But
Thank you for reminding me.
I want to ask you both a question, and we're going to play one more game of Shag, Marry, Kill. Your team is not allowed in it. right? You are not allowed to choose your team, and you've got the
Mm.
entire NFL, one team to shag, one team to marry, one team to kill. Entire NFL apart from your team.
Man, I wish you had said this at the top so I could have thought a little bit more about it.
Yes.
I know who my shag is. My shag is the Bengals. I can't marry the Bengals because if Joe Burrow, if he goes or whatever, then I just don't give a shit anymore. Excuse my language. Sorry, I don't cuss in the pod. But I do really like the sexiness of that offense, and I really like Joe Burrow a lot. And I said this to much, and I think Ollie agreed. I was like, man, if I could get any other jersey in the NFL, which I never would do, I would definitely get that white Joe Burrow like
Mm.
Bengal jersey. That thing is sweet. Joe, Tom, do you have one while I think about my marry and kill?
Yeah, I just had one and then it just went out of my head. No, I am going to shag the Baltimore Ravens, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I love Lamar. I love the roster as a whole. I think they're so well set, I think they've got so much depth. Especially defensively, I think they're going to be elite, and then offensively, Lamar's going to do his thing. Obviously, we saw a bit of a uptick from Rashad Bateman last year as well. He proved that he was a really good wide receiver, and Zay Flowers' ascendance and stuff as well. So, yeah, I'll shag the Ravens because it's going to be until it's not, it's going to be a good time. So,
Well, genuine
Um,
question. Would you consider being able to put 30 plus points up a week and still not having a winning record, still struggling every week to be considered shit in the bed? Would you consider
I
that to
mean,
be under that description of words?
well,
I watched.
are you still winning?
Well, I want to consider the Bengals here. So you don't
Hmm.
get a winning record, but you might be around 7-10. You might be around 8-9. You won't make the playoffs. You'll kind of get it going maybe and pull a couple together when it's too late. But your offense is absolutely fucking elite.
Yeah,
Your
well,
defense cannot stop anything.
in that case, you're wasting Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase's primes. So,
But the question is, would you consider it shit in the bed?
yes.
So I
Well, can I just go ahead?
go on.
Sorry. Well, I have a different perspective of this. Now, I will never say that Matt Ryan was anywhere close to the talent as Joe Burrow, but I watched a lot of really awesome Falcons offenses, and Matt Ryan led that team where there was no defense to be had. And then one year he had a defense, he went to the NFC Championship game, and then the next time he went to the Super Bowl. Like it sucks, but it's better than not watching good football.
Yeah.
What's your point?
So there's a comical point to it, but also I think a very valid point when we're talking about shagging. As fun as that shag would be, if you run the risk of that person shit in the bed, I don't want to be any part of it. Um, that's not what you want. So,
Boo.
um,
That should have been, you just
that
needed to say that right off the bat. You
no, I
have to
know, but
make us
I
say something.
liked the build up to it.
And
I'm
then
with
what?
Tom though. I'm with Tom for my shag. It's the Ravens. Um,
Nice.
absolutely for all the reasons that Tom said as well. I completely agree.
I'm not gonna marry a team because I just can't, but I will kill the Patriots. That'd be the other team I'd kill. No offense to our friends at what's it called?
Patriots
What's the
touchback.
hurdle? Yeah, I don't know why we haven't been asked to do a Falcons exclusive
I
podcast
know
other than
what
Meg, but
team
yeah,
I'm gonna kill. And then I think I know what team I'm gonna marry.
do
Um,
it.
so I'm gonna kill the Indianapolis Colts because I don't think anyone wants to see the Colts this year. To be honest, I mean, I want to see Anthony Richardson if he actually plays well, and he's had a couple decent throws in preseason. But in general, other than Jonathan Taylor highlight touchdowns, if I draft him in fantasy, I don't want to see anything from the Colts really this year. And then Murray, even though they're division not division rival, but they're an AFC rival. I can't help but marry the Buffalo Bills, just because I think Josh Allen is an amazing quarterback, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think with what he's had to, with the depleted offense that he's had to deal with, and to still get them to where he's got them to. Um, I do believe in the Bills. I do think eventually they'll beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. I don't think it'll be this year, but that's what I'm hoping. Either way, obviously Bills fans and Bills Mafia are hoping that it's going to be their year and they can finally go to the Super Bowl. But yeah, just for the reason of Josh Allen being a stand-up dude and being a great quarterback, I'll pick the Bills for that one.
I think
Yeah,
that's awesome, Tom.
yeah. Um, I will say this on the bill because, like, for crying out loud, Tom, you're taking on Mary as well. The person
See,
you
I thought you'd say
marry,
the Chargers.
no, the person that I would like, the person that you marry and be in the Bills, if you consider the franchise, just the team and the coaches and all that sort of stuff, they are great. They are fantastic. And like even on your worst days, they're still gonna make you smile, all that kind of thing. Now, if you consider the fans to be the family, yes, they come from a rather crazy family. Yes, they come from a rather odd family. They are the outlier to that family. They are the exception to the family. They just don't quite seem to the craziness of the fans and the way the team is doesn't quite seem to just make sense, but it is what it is. Um, but you love that crazy family anyway, and they're always good for a bit of a you go visit the in-laws once a year around Christmas time, and you're just a bit like, I like this chaos. Don't need it every week. Don't want it in my house all the time, but I like visiting my in-laws and having this chaos. So, and my kill, I came up with this kill far before we ever did this podcast together in the first place. It's the Cowboys. It's the Cowboy, and it would never be anyone other than the Cowboys if uh in general, yeah, just the Cowboys, always the Cowboys.
It's funny though with Josh Allen as well. I don't know if you saw this week, it went viral. It was hilarious. He was at training camp or whatever, or he was, training. And then there was fans there, and he actually did the draft picks or whatever, the draft order. Like they literally brought that thing over being like, "Oh, can you do the draft order of my fantasy football league?" And he literally stood there with a pen and a bit of paper, just doing it on the fly, just stood there. And I was like, that is so goated. Go on, Josh
Drake
Allen. So,
Drake
yeah.
May did it as well. I saw the video of Drake May doing it
Oh yeah.
for one fantasy league. It's brilliant. And I've seen one where I can't remember who it was, but it was basically a cameo and they basically said, here is the name of 12 people who are part of this team, part of this league. Can you draft like put the draft order in for our league? So it seems to be a common thing at the moment
There we
going around.
go.
But the Josh Allen one was brilliant. Yeah.
What will Gen Z think of next? Anyway, which is great because that leads us to next week's podcast. It's a great segue. We will be doing a fantasy draft. I won't because I'll be on holiday, but there will be a fantasy draft episode next week. Fletch, tell us all about it quickly.
Yeah. So as of next week, we are launching the Fantasy Den podcast. That'll be through some point throughout the week. It obviously won't be on the same night as the podcast. But in order to do that, we do every year, or I say every year, it's the second year, an AAW Fantasy League. And I think the first few rounds, just because it's near to the season, we're about to get going. We are going to do it live and you can hear us talk through what our picks are, why we're picking, who we're picking, where we are. It's going to be a quick draft. It's not going to be the whole thing because they still go on for just stupid amounts of time. But the first few rounds, no one needs to know why someone's picked Josh Dobbs in the 43rd round. No one needs that. No one cares. And half people are on auto pick by then anyway.
And Chapman will be an auto pick the whole time. So.
I might pop on sleeper. I don't know. We'll see. Uh,
But yeah, so
anyway,
you will be on holiday.
I will be.
And it'll be bank
I'd
holiday
let this be
Monday as well.
known. Right.
And I will just
Mrs. Maddox does not. She does not let us work on the old bank holidays.
no.
Not that we're getting paid for this. Tom, you're not getting paid, right?
No.
So I'm not either, by the way, if you were wondering.
Okay, there we go.
And but also this weekend, actual proper football is back, by the way. We need to say this. This needs to be it's not preseason football. It's not
Yeah,
NFL
brutal.
football either. It's college football, but week 0, college football's back this weekend. I'm very, 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 very excited.
Give us a 60 to 2 minute version of you're going to Dublin for the game, correct? Are you flying in and out the same day?
No, not this time. Going on the Friday, coming back on the Sunday. Mrs.
Very
Fletcher's
nice.
Nice. The
coming too.
weekend.
We've got Iowa State at Kansas State. It is a top 25 matchup. Farmageddon on foreign soil. This is a game that two Big 12 teams. This has major playoff implications. This has major implications for who could win and go to the Big 12 championship game. It's a very good game between two well-matched teams. It's gonna be a really fun one. And again, the implications of it going through to the rest of the season are quite high, so it should be high intensity as well. And as always, for college football and for the Dublin game, just a brilliant, brilliant atmosphere, of which there are, and I do believe if you listen to the college football pod, which will come out on Wednesday as we preview the games. Groovy, Gary, our co-host, has 2 extra tickets going if anyone can make it over to Dublin or is in Dublin and would like to go to the game and hasn't got a ticket. There are 2 going spare, so contact him.
Excellent. Groovy's got tickets. That's going to be fun. Fletch, next year, I promise I'm going to try to talk Mrs. Maddox because she loves Dublin. We love a Guinness. So I
That's
think I could maybe.
absolutely fine. I won't be there.
Oh, not next year. Great.
No, because there's another week 0 game happening in another country, and just the
Oh, you're going to be
University
in
of
Michigan.
Michigan are playing in Frankfurt next year. So
Ooh.
I can't talk Mrs. Fletch into a weekend in both Dublin and Frankfurt. So we're gonna have to pick one of the two, and it'll be Frankfurt.
Yikes. I've been to Frankfurt. Good luck. All right, here we go, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and listen to all the amazing content that Fletch is producing and all our other co-hosts on the AEW network. As always, thank you, Tom, for being here. We're almost there, dude. 2 more weeks. It's coming. Fletch, thank you so much for producing. Thank you guys so much for listening. And remember, hurdle that NFC.